All right. Looking back on the week against Georgia, thought very proud of our players and their ability to compete and find a way to finish. I thought going into the game, from a game plan perspective, I thought we saw about what we expected to get from Georgia offensively. Certainly, their mentality was to take some shots downfield on some younger guys as well, and kind of test our secondary. I thought we handled that really well early on. I thought we did a really nice job in the first half. Guys competed well, were in the right spots, executed really well on third down, and then we were certainly able to create some takeaways and make their quarterback uncomfortable, which was one of our keys to victory, and something we knew we had to be able to do. It was going to be challenging, as I told you last week, in order to get takeaways off of them, but that was certainly a huge key to the game. I thought, for us, we got 10 game changers, as I've talked to you before about those things: takeaways, sacks, 3-and-outs, and I guess a safety would also count into that, as we had this past week. We wanted to get 8 plus, and we got 10 in the game. But probably the thing that shows up the most was our lack of ability to get off the field on fourth down. We had 7 different times we did not get off the field on fourth down. They were 7 of 0. They were 3 of 15 on third down, and then we're able to execute on fourth down to keep drives alive. When you go up 30-7, you're playing a very different style game from a defensive perspective. Now that this team essentially has 4 downs to be able to get a first down, and so typically what they did, and what most teams would do, right? They're going to be way more aggressive on first or second down, take more shots downfield, knowing that they're going to be in a go scenario on fourth down. And so it's one of the most challenging things to handle as a defense. It's even different than 2-minute because you are now defending 4 downs, and they have time. They can take their time. They can take those shots downfield. And I thought at times we handled it really well to get them to fourth down situations, which is hard enough as it is, but we were not able to execute and get off the field. We needed one more stop, one more takeaway, and then certainly, we needed to be able to clean up some of the big plays that, really, if we get off the field on fourth down, some of those things don't happen in the first place. So I thought for us, the coaching staff did a good job making some of those adjustments. You can't play in the second half and just straight zone coverage. If you go look at Carson Beck over his career, the dude does a tremendous job of picking you apart in straight zone coverage. You've got to be able to mix up man and zone. We did some of those things against him, but certainly I thought he did a really nice job in the second half of hitting some explosives that that certainly made the game closer than what we wanted from a defensive perspective. So disappointed in a number of things that we did not finish well enough in the second half. Very proud of the fight of our players. I thought, you look at the fourth downs, you look at some of the takeaway opportunities that we missed on. When that happens over and over and again in a game, too many times you've seen a defense essentially fold and give in. And I thought our guys continued to fight all the way until the very end when, a guy, Zabian Brown, gets an interception. I thought, high praise for him to be able to stay in the fight. Thought it was a really great learning experience for some of our younger players. And Coach DeBoer mentioned this. We've all had experiences, be it as coaches or players, whether we were here or transferred from another program. You've had experiences where you've had to push through adversity, but now we've done that together. And I think there's a certain level of team chemistry that comes from experiences like that we certainly need to take moving forward. That being said, now as we go into Vanderbilt, I think this team is playing with a lot of energy. You look at their sideline, you look at the level of competitive attitude that those guys play with. I think you see that come from their quarterback. The dude is a real baller. I mean, he's physical. He's tough. He makes the non-traditional play out on the field numerous times. And so he's going to certainly be challenging for us when you look at an option style offense and the way their quarterback certainly navigates their offense. You can tell there's a confidence from the rest of his teammates that I think he breathes into their football team. You see it on the sideline when you watch live copies. The defense feeds into it. The whole team is into it, and they play with a great bit of enthusiasm and chemistry. And we've got to do a great job of going from a game that had a lot of attention and a lot of momentum swings and found a way to win, to do the same thing over and over again. Success, naturally, if you allow it, will breathe complacency into your program, and you have to fight to be able to play to the standard week in and week out, and that's certainly going to be the challenge for us this week.
Yeah, Coach, that pick at the end for a freshman to do that's got to be a kind of a cool moment for you as a coach and maybe a lesson down the road. I asked Coach DeBoer, I want to ask you, what does that carry over in your message to the team of stay in the fight?
Yeah, I think I thought, Coach DeBoer hit it right on the head with the players. When, we've all had experiences in football where we've had to navigate through adversity, but when you do it together, you can now all draw from that common experience. And so for a guy like Xavier Brown, who, they took shots at him from the second play on, and really he navigated that really well. And honestly, a lot of the downfield throws, I thought we did a really nice job of the majority of the night. But when you have well over 20, I think it was 22 or 23 of them, they're going to connect on some. And they did against him early in the game, in the second half of the game. For him to stay locked into those moments and not be overwhelmed by the adversity, won us the football game ultimately, right? And the confidence that will draw, that he'll be able to draw upon for the rest of his career, the confidence that we'll be able to build off from his teammates, right? Knowing that he can stay in the fight and find a way to win ultimately, I think is something that, I told the defense, nobody in that room will ever forget that moment. You know what I mean? And certainly this season we need to make sure that we rely back on that when adversity comes, which it most certainly will.
Goes back to that to Steven.
Coach Damani Jackson had a takeaway also. What makes him stand out as a guy that quarterbacks don't like testing him because of his ability to step up?
Yeah, Damani has been a real quiet consistency in our program, in our defense for the last 4 games. I think again the other night, I think he maybe got one ball caught on him. Did a really good job at the point of attack. I think from a downfield presence, he's very consistent in his technique. He's become a very physical player, which is exciting to see. That was something that we really challenged him in the offseason. And his ability to go make plays on the ball, and then certainly in the run game or in the perimeter throw game, I think he did a really nice job on that as well. And then certainly we brought out a pressure package that we had been working on all off season and preparing, and fortunately we're able to hold it until we got into SEC play. And the very first time we call it, Damani does exactly what we expected to do in that situation when they threw the ball out on the perimeter and gets an interception. So awesome to see guys that practice at a high level and consistently be rewarded on game day. And that's you can point to, there were multiple times we worked that exact concept that we thought that they were going to go to and driving the ball. And then, you could pretty much almost pair multiple practice reps to exactly what happened in the game. That's pretty cool.
Go to Colin on the front left side.
Obviously, disguise has been a prominent part in your defense over the course of these first 4 games, but it seemed like you guys had a lot more design pressures in getting to the backfield, getting to the quarterback. How do you feel like that worked and against Georgia, and how was that an addition, and then what do you see the role of pressure being moving forward?
Well, I think when you face somebody like Carson Beck that's so experienced, one of the things that we've always been able to hang our hat on as a defense is that we're going to show disguise. We're going to give him one pre-snap picture, and then we're going to give him a different picture post-snap. Sometimes we're going to give him a pre-snap picture, an immediate post-snap picture, and then switch that picture mid-play. And that's where we got a couple of things where, you could tell we've got him a little bit off kilter, and he threw us the ball a couple of times just simply because we're showing him one picture pre-snap, a different picture right at the snap, and then rotating to something else entirely as the play's going on, and we were able to affect him a number of times. Pressure allows you, right, to be able to speed up the quarterback's tempo in the throw game. And so when you're doing some of those disguises, if you have had pressure on the quarterback early on, it allows those disguises to work for you at a much higher rate. And so we were schematically committed to getting in the backfield and making sure that we made him uncomfortable early. I thought we were able to do that. And then, certainly it was able to kind of disrupt his timing. But I'll tell you this, I thought that kid, that young man, rather, did a tremendous job of continuing to fight. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and showed his ability to fight even through some of the adversity. And so very impressed by him, and they've got a very good football team. I thought, Coach Smart did a really tremendous job of keeping his guys in the fight, and certainly impressed with them overall as a team.
Go to Katie, second row on the left.
Defense leads the country in pass breakups, had 9 on Saturday. And I guess some of those are in coverage. Some are just guys reading the quarterback's eyes and batting it down. But just what makes this defense so good at that?
Well, we, from a schematic standpoint, we play a lot of what we call vision style coverage. And even when we're playing man coverage, there are elements of vision that are based into some of our hook drops and hole droppers that we're able to read the eyes of the quarterback and react. And so when you can put your eyes on the quarterback, now you're not just defending people or grass, but you're defending the people and the grass that the quarterback wants to throw the ball to. We went to more of a vision-oriented defense like in 2014. My dad, when he was the D coordinator at Ole Miss, got it from Monty Kiffin, who my dad had GA'd for years ago, back in 1978. Him and my dad GA'd for Lou Holtz and Monty Kiffin, and so that relationship stayed all the way through the years. And then in 2014, we got kind of the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom. Back when they were Legion of Boom, they were the number one team in the NFL. They were taking the ball off of people more than anybody else, and they were playing with this vision style coverage. And so we got into doing those same things in 2014 as a defense at Ole Miss. We became the number one scoring defense in the country, number one in the country in interceptions, and really we've never looked back since. The element of putting vision on the quarterback in a number of different concepts defensively, be it zone or even man, has given us an opportunity to make more plays on the ball, as you're saying.
Yeah, Jaheim Otis is a guy that we haven't seen have as big of a role this season. I think he was past 2 years 4th in snaps for defensive linemen, 7th this year. Like, what's gone into the decision, kind of how you've used him this year?
Yeah, I think I think Jaheim, obviously coming from the offseason, coming off of an injury, I think he's still finding and hitting his stride, working to hit his stride. I think he's taking steps in the right direction. I think there's growth there, but certainly we want to continue to see him take steps in the right direction. And I think as he continues to take those steps, he has really high potential and an opportunity to impact this team in a large way.
Got time for 2 more questions. Start with Chase on the left.
How did you think Quay Rousseau played coming off an injury, and was he back to 100% as far as you know?
Yeah, I don't know, what percentage he would tell you that he was at. I think, Quay worked so hard over these last 2 weeks to get himself back to a position to where he could contribute and help his team win the football game. Again, I cannot stress enough how important and valuable Jeff Allen and his staff are to our success. They, treat our players with great care and maximize the opportunity for them to create value for themselves on game day. And so, for them, great in the communication, what is Quay feeling, what are the steps that we need to take to get him prepared to go play, and then even, really we weren't sure how many snaps we were going to get out of him or how far we were going to be able to push, for him to be able to push himself until, really pregame. And then once he got out there, he was feeling good. And so I think he ended up with 24 snaps on the game. But, I told the players on Sunday, think about all the work Quay put in these last 2 weeks to now get out on the field and then create a takeaway for our defense, and get 24 snaps in the game. And so when players go through some of that, injury adversity, to be able to really push to get through so that you can get back on the field on game day.
You talked heading into this matchup about limiting the production on easy access throws. How big was Xavier in making some of those stops on the perimeter and just wrapping up the ball carriers quickly?
I thought for the majority of the night we did a really good job of that. When we didn't, it was because of fundamentally we weren't putting our eyes on the quarterback and driving the ball. A lot of easy access throws are either you're denying that access throw by your alignment and your leverage, or you're denying it with vision. So when the quarterback goes to throw the ball out on the perimeter, you're able to break off the quarterback's vision. And a couple of times we didn't do a good enough job of that. But I thought particularly Zabian did a really nice job of defending the perimeter, of holding the lateral leverage that you have to do in order to defend the perimeter screen game. And then really for the most part, I thought we tackled well the majority of the night. I think there were probably 2 key missed tackles in the game. Both of them were for explosive plays and one for a touchdown. Keon Sabb. We miss a guy. They had us in a kind of an and go deal. Nice job on their part. We've got to collision the guy at the top of the route and probably can end it right then and there. But they're going to make plays too. When they make plays, we've got to be able to talk about limiting explosives and none for touchdowns. And so you've got to be able to get the guy on the ground and give us a chance to play great red zone defense. In that situation, we didn't do it there. And then we had another one out on the perimeter where Red just didn't drive the hitch route the way he needed to. And so those are things that certainly we've got to continue to work on and get better at. So. All right, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.